The blueprint, study my movement, more than the 2 cents. Was losing, now I'm oozing with success. Now I got the tools to beat the stress. I lose cause I'm a step ahead of you.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Look, I'm going to go ahead and admit it. You can crucify me if you want. I don't care. NXT is my favorite wrestling show. All right? It's fun. It's sometimes stupid. It has tropes. Sometimes the characters don't always work. But I always walk away from NXT having had more fun than I did most other wrestling shows. It's my favorite wrestling show. It's gone back to being a fun show to actually watch. Not like, I'm not saying it was bad before. But what I'm saying was it got kind of boring. It was the same guys having the same kinds of matches. Now we actually see new stuff. We're seeing good matches, great character stuff. We're seeing videos. We're seeing comedy segments. We're seeing surprises. We're seeing a little bit of everything on NXT now. So I'm really having fun with NXT. And even when it's not the best, it's still more fun to watch than Raw, SmackDown, and anything AEW. And certainly anything better, anything Impact. So NXT is my favorite show. So, hate me all you like. So, in this video, we'll be talking effusively about NXT this week because it was really good from top to bottom. Some things we're going to discuss, and probably I got to nitpick it. I got to do that. But we're gonna talk about it. Also, we're probably going to do Vengeance Day predictions. I really do predictions for non-takeover shows, but I'm so excited about Vengeance Day. I am kind of pissed that they're doing it on Sci-Fi. We'll talk about that later. But, going to talk about Vengeance Day later in the show. So, let's get into it. Let's talk about NXT from February the 8th, 2022. The Creed brothers defeat the Grizzled Young Veterans in a match that, this match was something else. That step-up superplex spot was tremendous. It made people literally stand up. It's just a superplex. All right? It wasn't a flippity-doo through the moon or anything like that. It didn't require, the judges to stand up with a 10 or a 9.5 or anything like that. It was a simple superplex. But how they got into the spot was so cool. It just rules. And they did a really good job isolating one of the Creed brothers by sending the other one into a table and forcing him to work from underneath. Him showing great babyface fire fighting from underneath, showing some great intensity. It was great. It was a great match. And they still didn't forget who the legal man was. Even I forgot who the legal man was. So Grizzled Young Veterans are the Buffalo Bills of NXT. They're always going to get close and then get booted out. So unfortunately for them, but they're great hands. They're great hands. I hope these guys don't get canned. I hate that it's become to that whenever somebody's gone for more than a week, everybody says, "Oh, he's going to get fired." I could legitimately see Grizzled Young Veterans getting released because really, what purpose do they serve outside of having really good matches? They really don't serve that much of a purpose. But this show proved their worth. This was a really good match. All right, so the next segment, Cora Jade and Raquel Gonzalez got into an argument with Yulisa Leon and Valentina Feroz. Raquel and one of the other ones, I'm guessing Yulisa Leon, were arguing in Spanish. Cora Jade believes that they have a solid chance to win things on the Women's Dusty Cup, which will start in 2 weeks. While Yulisa Leon and Valentina Feroz just says, "Hey, don't overlook us," before getting into this argument in Spanish. I didn't understand any of it. If you understand Spanish, please let me know. We'll say it in the comment section below. It just seemed like an opportunity to show off that Raquel Gonzalez speaks fluent Spanish. I think that's all this was about. Is, oh yeah, she says more than chiquita and mi amor. She can actually speak Spanish. So, okay, cool. All right, so then we get a backstage segment where Wendy Choo has spent all of Tiffany Stratton money until the card was canceled. So she had a ball committing this massive fucking felony. This is clearly a felony, and it's caught on camera. But instead of going to prison, she just got her ass whooped. Tiffany Stratton defeated Wendy Choo with a springboard twisty doodad. I didn't mind it. It plays into the gymnastics part of her character. Tiffany Stratton is still very heavy on character. She comes across a lot like, not Francine, the other chick that was in NXT, Dawn Marie. Lance Storm's personal bitch. That's BYTCH. And she comes across a lot like her, in so much as that she's clearly acting. I don't like it. It doesn't feel too natural, but this is only her third or fourth appearance. She needs to work on it. The match was fine. Wendy Choo got some pretty good babyface shine early. And then, Tiffany Stratton, quote unquote, broke her nail and got pissed off and then beat Wendy Choo from there. Of course, they have to beg the question, why didn't Tiffany Stratton cancel the card, considering she knew that Wendy Choo had the card? She should have canceled it last week. Those things are minor details. It's so silly. It's so silly. Hey, I stole your credit card. Now let me go on a week-long shopping spree before you stop it. How dumb is that? Anyway, Wendy Choo continued throughout the show. When Dakota Kai saw her later on, she was near all of Wendy Choo's newly stolen property. Then said that she bought all of these things, but it don't buy in-ring victories. Wendy Choo didn't say anything. She was still selling the twisty doodad from Tiffany Stratton. Dakota Kai wasn't finished for the evening, though. Dakota Kai wrestled Sailor Sarray and was defeated by Sailor Sarray in a match that was pretty solid. I did not mind this match. I really like Sarray's new gimmick of just walking through the entrance and coming out a different person. It's very unique. It doesn't involve magic. It's just, a pre-tape of her coming through the back stage area and transforming as she comes through the thing. It doesn't require, her spinning in a circle with all of her clothes glowing or anything silly like that. So, and Sarray looked pretty good. Her finisher is a T-bone suplex, which is very strange. Or an exploder, which for somebody her size, I don't know. I think the bottom rope drop kick should be her finish because she could do it on anybody. Do you think she could do that suplex to Raquel Gonzalez? Probably not. Do you think that if she was able to get called up to the main roster, would she be able to do it to like Charlotte? Or no. Dewdrop? No. But she could definitely do the bottom drop kick to them. And it's an effective looking move. And when she does it right, it looks brutal. So yeah, I think she should transition to that being her full-time finish. But since Dakota Kai isn't that big, it didn't look unrealistic. So Dakota Kai, once again, looks good. Goes down in defeat. Then she runs into Wendy Choo backstage. And Wendy Choo's like, Bugs Bunny. Wasn't as easy as it looked, huh? You lost too, Bird Brain. All right. So I'm guessing we're still going to build up this Dakota Kai Wendy Choo thing. Dakota Kai, I swear she's the ghost of NXT past. Her still being there is shocking to me. I don't know. I'm not saying she should be on the main roster. I'm just shocked she's still there. Period. In any capacity, if we're being honest. But I like Dakota Kai. She was really good before the shakeup. And I'm just it was like Infinite Crisis. That's what NXT 2.0 was. It's like they rejiggered the universe. And now everything's different. And Dakota Kai, who was a focus, and so was Io Shirai, and so was Raquel Gonzalez, they're B players now. And I guess some of them are better at it than others. All right, let's get back into order. So Draco Anthony was disappointed at his defeat. It wasn't the way he wanted his debut to go. Then Joe Gacy walked up to him, said that he needed to keep his head up, and that he doesn't have to do this alone, and that he'll be there to listen to him. Then he left, and Harland loomed over Draco Anthony like a fart in an elevator. He just hung there, straight, like perfect posing. And I was just kind of like, oh my God, is something bad about to take place? Do I need to avert my eyes? What's about to happen? And, thankfully nothing occurred. Pete Dunne says that Tony D'Angelo he talked too much, but now he's been very quiet since he got his hand smashed with that cricket bat. It says no more tweeting, no more nothing. And that he's going to show him next week. Draco Anthony shows up and offered his hand to shake because he was honored to be wrestling Pete Dunne. It just wants to be a goody good guy. And Pete Dunne was like, yeah, whatever, mate. I'm the baddest man in NXT. And didn't shake his hand. Real dick move there, Pete. But, it's in character. Pete Dunne doesn't shake people's hands. He bends their fingers and stuff. Draco Anthony was defeated by Pete Dunne in their match later on. It was alright, I guess. Gacy and Harlan were watching. Tony D'Angelo popped up with a crowbar, tried to crowbar Pete Dunne and missed. Ended up eating the ring post. After Pete Dunne wins with the bitter end, he went under the ring. Tony D'Angelo attacked him first, and Pete Dunne fought him off. Then he went under the ring and started pulling out all types of gadgets, chairs and pipe fitters and all kind of stuff. Tony D'Angelo was like, okay, I'm out of here. Then Pete Dunne made the challenge, that they want to have a weaponized steel cage match. That's the match that he wants to have, a weaponized steel cage match. And I immediately, I was triggered because I was like, isn't that the Ambrose Asylum match? Do you remember how bad that match was? To me, I think this was 2016, I think it was. The Ambrose Asylum match is probably one of the worst matches that two really good workers, one really good worker in Jericho, other pretty good worker in Ambrose ever had. It was awful. I remember it being so boring and so silly. It was such a stupid match. I don't see this match being that bad, but that match was bad. And it's not the only weaponized cage match I've ever seen. I've seen the Vampiro. I think it was Vampiro and Sting. They had a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. I think that was Raven and CM Punk, I believe, where it had weapons on the cage. I think Sting and Vampiro did have a weapons cage match. I don't know what it was called, but I know the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match with CM Punk and Raven. And that match proved to me that Raven is really good. Also showed me how fucking lazy Raven is. If you go watch that match, CM Punk does all the work. Raven does nothing. He doesn't even take bumps. There's even a part of the match where he's handcuffed to the cage and he's forcing CM Punk to just feed into him. So he's punching Punk and Punk is taking a bump and getting up. He punched him again, he takes the bump, he gets back up. And it's like over and over again. And it's really exciting. But when you think about it and you kind of take a step back, you're like, wait a minute. Raven ain't doing shit. He's standing up, handcuffed to this cage. He's not even moving. He's leaning against the cage, basically. And Punk's taking all the bumps and getting back up and walking right into him. It's like something out of Looney Tunes. It was great, though. It was fun. It was a fun match. It's just that Raven is fucking lazy. And it was pretty clear that he didn't really, he was going to force CM Punk to do the work in that match. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I'm glad I got to talk about the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match because I don't talk about it enough. Of course, TNA had a bunch of weapons cage matches. They had those 6 sides of steel things. What was those things called? Where you had it was kind of like War Games, but it wasn't. I forget what it was called. Never mind. But if this is going to be kind of like the Ambrose Asylum, that could be a disaster. It could be fine. We'll see. All right, so Io Shirai is hanging out with Zoe Stark. Zoe Stark is telling Io she got to find a new partner because she knows that Io wants the tag team championships back and she wants them back too, but she can't go because of her knee. So she needs a crazy partner. She needs somebody as crazy as she is. And Io has an idea of who to ask. When Zoe Stark says, hey, you going to tell me? She was like, no. Nope, not going to tell you at all. So this folds into Kaylee Ray, who was, spoilers, was Io Shirai's partner. I saw this coming. But they did a vignette where Kaylee Ray was breaking plates with her bat and doing all kinds of stuff, saying how she's going to make Mandy Rose suffer for not giving her a title match sooner. I don't know. That sounds like a Batman villain. I'm gonna kick your ass for not doing what I want sooner. This feeds into the main event were Mandy Rose versus Kay Lee Ray. Now, because of this, we actually have to back up a little bit. We have to back up two times back up, because this storyline is bolstered by the Toxic Attraction Indy Hartwell Persia Pirotta angle. So on this show, Duke Hudson was waiting around for Dante Chen, who says he wanted to kick his ass. Dante Chen wasn't around, so he said, well, I guess Dante Chen's not as tough as he thinks he is. Then he looks into the camera and tells Indy Hartwell good luck and gives her a little bit of a wink. Later, Indy Hartwell is on the phone flirting, sending out, let's say, pheromones, vibes, and Persia Pirotta is like, wait a minute, who was that on the phone? And she was like, it was Dexter. And she was like, are you sure it wasn't Duke? Why would it be Duke? I don't know. Maybe because he's sending you vibes through the television set or whatever. Anyway, Persia Pirotta was kind of jealous. Says that she got Indy Hartwell. Make this be a little bit more specific. Indy Hartwell is the one who got wished good luck, not her. Indy was like, calm down. Gigi and Gacy strolled on in and said that they're going to beat them up next week and retain their tag team championships. And then before they left, they said, when you lose, who's going to be consoling you? Will it be Dexter or will it be Duke? And they pull out a picture of Indy Hartwell and Duke Hudson. Oh, the brawl was on at that point. So they all just start to fight. I mean, it sounded like it was a real brouhaha going on in there. They were smashing against the goddamn lockers and everything. I was like, whoa, they getting it in there. So they kind of separated them or whatever. This feeds into the main event spot as Mandy Rose is coming to the ring. She is attacked by Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta. And so are the rest of Toxic Attraction. Mandy is just kind of knocked down and sort of discombobulated. So they fight off. Indy Hartwell, Persia Pirotta, and Toxic Attraction. They fight off. We're told during the match that Toxic Attraction and Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta were all taken away by NXT security, which of course meant they weren't. So Mandy Rose is in some trouble when it comes to Kay Lee Ray. Kay Lee Ray is the better wrestler. She's also nuts and willing to bet and willing to do whatever it takes to win this match. But Mandy Rose is kind of cagey. She pulled out a nice little reversal of the gory bomb into the code red. It was a nice little reversal. As Kay Lee Ray is about to do the Swanton bomb, JC Jane popped up on the hard cam side. I thought it was somebody else, to be quite honest, because I couldn't see who it was. And then, of course, I saw Gigi because her hair is unmistakable. She shoves Kay Lee Ray off the top rope. Mandy Rose with the pump knee strike. Pinfall 1, 2, 3. Mandy retains her championship, which was the right call, if we're being honest. Toxic Attraction then beats the hell out of Kay Lee Ray for getting in their business. And they're about to beat her with his bat. This leads Io Shirai to run in to make the save. They beat up on Toxic Attraction, bump them around, and we are left. The last thing we see is that Toxic Attraction is fleeing, and that Io Shirai is now likely to be teaming with Kay Lee Ray. I like the idea. I think Kay Lee Ray, I don't think she's just got such a short lifespan that the character had already run its course, I believe. And really, there was nothing more you could do once she got her title match and lost. So now they're keeping both her and Io, relevant by using the Dusty Cup, which is the right decision. Use the Dusty Cup to, help make new stars and to further storylines. So if the winners of the female Dusty Cup, if it's Io and Kay Lee Ray, they can get revenge on Toxic Attraction by winning the tag team belts. Even if they can't get Mandy, they can get JC and Gigi, which is, fine. That's a pretty good story. That's, of course, granted that JC and Gigi defeat Indy and Persia, but we'll talk about that in a second. So I like this angle, and I thought it was fine. It's a good use of Kay Lee Ray. She doesn't have much in the way of personality. So putting her in a tag team is best, but she should be in a tag team with somebody who's a little bit more vocal. Like, I'm cool with her and Io Shirai being a team. Io Shirai has tremendous charisma. The issue is the language barrier. That's always going to be the problem here, is that Io's English, while it's understandable, it's not as fluid and fun as what's needed to carry that thick accent of Kaylee Ray. But, stranger things have occurred. But I like the team. All right, our boy LA Knight defeated Sanga. Sanga is massive. He reminded me a lot of Braun Strowman, especially when he was wearing those pants and that top. It just looked like he raided Braun Strowman's locker and stole his extra gear. He's a massive, massive dude. And he didn't look too bad moving either. He looked like he knew what he was doing. I was like, this guy, I wish he had not lost this match. I really wish he had not lost this match. Now, he did lose because Grayson Waller exposed the turnbuckle and Sanga ran into it chest first. And then LA Knight used that to win. Okay, they kind of gave him an out a little bit, but I still don't like that he lost this match. He is way too big. I get that he's green, but, having your bodyguard lose matches, especially his first match, for Christ's sake, doesn't seem to make much sense. But, again, WWE does things in terms of story, not in terms of, hey, we need to protect this guy. This guy needs to build some momentum. It's whatever the story dictates. And the story dictated that Sanga lose this match. Needless to say, I think Sanga has a bright future. I think that if he can, stick around, if he spoke English, any English, he might be the guy. I think the Indians do speak English, but depends on how good his English is. I think he's bigger than Veer Mahan. I truly do. He looks absolutely massive. Gigantic Indian dude. That guy is scary. And he could be the Indian Hulk Hogan. That's where I would go with it. I would go Indian Hulk Hogan with one of these two guys. Just because, to me, I kind of agree with Jeet Rama. We do need to see some Indian baby faces sometimes. As far as we can see right now, all the Indians in WWE are heels. Why can't one of them be a baby face? I would have preferred to be Jinder Mahal, though, because I think Jinder Mahal has never worked babyface in WWE. I think his entire run has been as a heel run. I don't think 3MB counts either, because 3MB were kind of heels. They were kind of idiots, too. So I definitely don't want to count them. But Sanga is massive. Anyway, after LA Knight defeated Sanga, the restraining order was lifted. At least that's what we were told, which led LA Knight to beating the tar out of Grayson Waller until he ran away. After the match, Grayson Waller claimed he was going to have LA Knight arrested for violating the restraining order. But he's not going to get him arrested until next week. And I was like, what the hell is the wait? What are you waiting for? Oh yeah, I'm going to have you arrested, mate. Next week at 8:00 p.m. What the fuck? Why? I'm going to have you arrested, mate, at 8:45 p.m. Like, what the hell? Why is it so specific? Just have him arrested now. Like, wouldn't that make sense to have him arrested right now for violating his restraining order? Clearly, there's going to be more to it, which is why it needs to be next week. But that's one of the things that I thought was pretty silly, is that clearly, if you want to have the guy arrested, why wait? Why wait? It makes no sense. All right, so the big segment, Santos Escobar, Braun Breaker, with two new challengers appearing out of nowhere. So I got to take my time with this. So the segment was the Championship Summit between Santos Escobar and Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker comes out there in the Canadian tuxedo, double denim pants, denim jacket. And I said, oh my God, he looks so tacky. But it almost comes across as some of the most Steiner shit ever to be wearing double denim. He wants to flip the tables right now to fight. And Santos Escobar like, no, amigo. I'm pulling the strings. I'm already planning to end your career, as everybody is calling you the future. Dolph Ziggler's music strikes up and he strolls on out there because Braun Breaker had been talking that yang on that Twitter machine. And Dolph Ziggler I'm like, oh, no wonder Braun Breaker is dressed stupidly, because the double denim thing is usually a Dolph Ziggler move. Dolph Ziggler's wearing a suit this time, though. He looks very nice. And says that he works Tuesdays now. And so Braun told Dolph that he'll get to him when he's done with Escobar. Dolph Ziggler said, does the old "Who are you?" runs down his resume and says the only title he hasn't won is the NXT Championship, and that he says that out of 100 matches, about 90 to 99 of them don't go his way. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, pause. What do you mean? Clearly, he's talking about losing a lot, right? So he kind of so he says he doesn't have to be better than Braun, which he is. He doesn't have to be stronger, which he is. Doesn't have to be a better wrestler, which he is. But he just needs to be in Braun's head, which he also is. And then immediately, Tommaso Ciampa's theme starts to play. And we're like, holy shit, wait a minute. For starters, Dolph coming out here was crazy. Like, that was already like, whoa. Now, I knew they were teasing it because I had seen the stuff on Twitter, but I didn't expect for Dolph to just show up. So Ciampa comes out there, hard pass on Dolph Ziggler being the champion, but loves the kid spirit, calls him kid. They're about the same age, I think. I think Dolph's probably a little bit older. But Ciampa calls him kid. Now, Escobar's, as Ciampa is giving Dolph Ziggler the lip, Escobar is pissed. He stands up. He's like, no. No. What are you two even doing here? You don't even go here, talking to Dolph. And I'll handle both of you after I win the title. So then Ciampa says, look, I don't care what happens between the two of you. I got next, unless Dolph has a problem with it. And then Dolph turns his attention to Tommaso Ciampa. And then proceeds to bury him in Florida and NXT. In what was absolutely hilarious fashion. Tommaso Ciampa, when he came out there, he says that Dolph Ziggler was invading his house. Invading his home, where he apparently feeds his kids and sleeps with his wife. Dolph Ziggler says that you said that this place is your home. And he says he says, what is your home actually? Year after year, these same few Florida SEALs come out here and clap for you. But where does it end? Where does the helmet and elbow pads come off? Where does it end? And Ciampa kicks him in the face. Ciampa kicks him in the face because he's talking shit. So he's going to handle this Dolph Ziggler problem right now. And Braun Breaker is of course, not immune from this. Legado del Fantasma attack him from behind. Braun fights off the two smaller guys, Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza, before standing down with Santos Escobar. Dolph Ziggler and Tommaso Ciampa are fighting up the ramp. By the way, they're going away. Braun grabs Santos Escobar, is going to put him through the table. The two little guys come back. They beat up Braun, powerbomb him through the table. And Santos Escobar says that, like he said, he's pulling the strings. They do things on his time. Because, Braun Breaker wanted to break the table earlier. He's like, no. We break the table now. On your ass. This segment was tremendous. This was a tremendous segment. Everybody got over in this segment. And it's very rare that you have a segment like that where everybody gets over. Dolph Ziggler comes in as the big shot main event guy. Even though he's not even a huge star on the main roster anymore. He just comes across as such a bigger deal in NXT. The crowd is surprised that he's even there. He's cutting these effortless promos. His presentation is 100% better in NXT than it was on the main roster in a long time. All he did was come on the scene and kick his feet up with a microphone and talk himself into a title match. That's pretty much all he did. Now, I know he pretty much already had a title match via Twitter. But if you had been following that stuff, you walked away from this segment saying, I want to see Dolph Ziggler wrestle everybody in the ring. he had chops for everybody in the ring. Tommaso Ciampa, when he came out there, he brought an intensity to him. He brought a legitimacy to him. He brought some realism to him. And when he confronted Dolph, he legitimately seemed like he's, going after the outsider. This guy's the outsider. Like Escobar, dickhead, but at least he works here. Braun, champion, he's got my belt, but at least he works here. But this guy, what the fuck is he doing here? Like he's just here to make noise. We got to get him out of here. So Braun Breaker, of course, is the young champion. He's the guy who got the most to prove in these segments. And he comes across as being incredibly confident. He still kind of got a little bit of that happy energy, kind of like Goldberg, where he's kind of standing there smiling, smirking a lot, but it's infectious too, by the way. And Santos Escobar is cool. And I'm surprised he was as cool for as long as he was, considering how long Dolph was talking. Like, Dolph was talking for a long time, uninterrupted, and people were saying little stuff to him, and he was just, Dolph Ziggler was cutting him off and everything. But he was talking for a little while, and Santos Escobar finally was like, enough of this. So it seemed like everybody got over. Everybody got their bits in. Everybody's character got touched on to a degree. We got a little bit of everybody. This segment put over everything in the ring. Put over NXT. It also kind of buried NXT. It buried the crowd anyway. Put over the NXT titles. You got so many guys who want to get it. And it put over all the contenders. This was great. And then it set up the potential for a Tommaso Ciampa Dolph Ziggler match. And I fucking love that. And it also set up Braun Breaker and Dolph Ziggler. I fucking love that too. And Santos Escobar and Dolph Ziggler. I fucking love that too. You can't miss. This was a can't miss segment. It was tremendous. A truly one of the best segments NXT has had. Definitely since the relaunch. And it's been a long time since a segment had so much going on. This was a car crash of a segment. It was just so much stacked on top of each other. But you could easily break it apart into its digestible pieces, and the story is still there. It doesn't say, this doesn't make any sense. This guy shouldn't be here. It all makes sense. It all fits. And people were chanting triple threat, and then people were chanting fatal four-way, as if to say, we want to see all you guys fight each other. I'm not a fan of that. I like the tournament angle. Each guy fights one-on-one. Like the G1 climax or some shit. Because to me, that's how you get the best value out of this whole ordeal. Throwing them all in one match doesn't do you any good. So they're sticking with Escobar versus Steiner next week. Oh, that's going to be fun. Maybe Tommaso Ciampa versus Dolph Ziggler the week after. The first week back on USA. Ooh. Oh boy. All right. We got some more stuff. I mean, that wasn't even it. Because we got the barbershop segment between Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. And they're hanging out in the barbershop talking about Carmelo Hayes and his title defense against Cameron Grimes. Now, this was, I guess, a spoof on the LeBron James segments that he's been doing, where he kind of talks in the barbershop with his fake friends. Those are not his real friends, by the way. And so they were kind of doing it here. It's also kind of a rip that people have seen this in various movies. There was a movie called The Barbershop. People think LeBron James started this. He did not. This was in Coming to America. You could see it in old black movies all the time. It was very funny in Black Dynamite, where I forget what was the name of Tommy Davidson's character in Black Dynamite. Where it was so funny. But there's plenty of barbershop scenes usually in black media. So they were talking about Cameron Grimes. And Trick Williams says that he was reading Twitter and people think that Cameron Grimes could actually win. But he says he looked for his accolades. He ain't got no accolades. Then he ran down, Trick ran down Melo's accolades. Melo said that Cameron Grimes is a talented guy. And Trick was like, yeah. Then it says Melo does numbers, and nobody's even talking about Grimes until he started doing business with the A champion. And, I was kind of like, man, I love this segment. This was really good. the homeboys was in there. One of them was kind of like, "Hey, you mean the To the Moon guy?" And he's like, "Yeah, the To the Moon guy." He's like, "Hey, I kind of like him. I think he could win." He's like, "Oh, get out of here." So I thought that was fun. They was getting their little haircuts or whatever. But this was bolstered and made so much better by the Cameron Grimes segment. So we got Cameron Grimes walking the streets of Cameron, North Carolina as a podunk, damn near farm town somewhere in North Carolina. And he's talking about his rags to riches story. And they're showing clips from his past. And this was the most beautiful part, is he's talking about nobody's had to grow and adapt more in NXT than Cameron Grimes. And they showed him with the zombies and, him with, with the $1 million championship and everything. And him saying that, he came out of all these experiences a self-made man. He got all this money now, all these cars, all these houses, but he'd give it all up for that championship because that's what he got into this business for. And I was like, this is truly excellent babyface shit. This is really good stuff. And they're really setting it up not as a clash of classes, because, Cameron Grimes' character is rich. The Carmelo Hayes character is very cocky, but he's not broke. But they're playing it as two guys in their natural habitats. One is very cocky and confident. He's a little overconfident. But you got Cameron Grimes who's reflecting. It feels like it's Cameron Grimes' last stand. That's kind of how that vignette came across. Like, they're about to send Cameron Grimes away. Hopefully not. But it was just so well produced that you walked away from that segment saying to yourself, holy shit, I want Cameron Grimes to win. I walked away from that segment like, I want Cameron Grimes to win, man. Now, of course, Trick and Mello downplayed his accomplishments by saying he never did anything when he was, the $1 million champion for a short time. So he did do something. It's not completely, never done anything. He's been in NXT for 2 years, never done anything. He's a joke and everything. There's some truth to that, but not much. All right. So I really enjoyed the Carmelo Hayes and the Cameron Grimes vignettes. They were really good. Then we get a smile on my face because we got a Nikkita Lyons vignette that did not involve her singing or rapping. It involved her doing martial arts, and she had nunchucks. All right. So all I wanted, I screamed for probably about, 3 minutes about my big booty nunchuck girl that I requested that. And they said, okay, we heard you. Her rhymes were whack. We get it. Unless this is just, the second part of her vignette, and this was completely planned regardless of how the response to the first one, where they sent it out there. And this was a better representation of who she is. I think this was a far better representation of who she is. So the way it goes is that she had to learn to defend herself because there was constantly people trying to rob the van. And there was creepy promoters and all kinds of people out there out to get her. So she had to learn how to defend herself. And then she got so good at fighting, she actually went out there and started picking the fights because she knew she could win. I didn't need that, but whatever. Then she says that if you step to her with some weak ass shit, you're going to hear the lions roar. And I was like, all right. At least we still got the musician stuff there. Okay. We still got it there. She can say, well, I can sing, but I can also kick ass. And I was like, okay, I like that. We're going to play with the whole deck. We're not just going to pick certain cards out of the deck. We're going to play with the whole deck. So that means she's going to be doing both singing and big booty martial arts. I'll take it. I guess I'll take it for now. I'll accept this half and half, even though I really would prefer If we went big booty Kill Bill, I would prefer that. Bubble butt Kill Bill. I mean, why even get bothered with the whole singing and rapping stuff? Why even do that? Why even talk about the musicianship? Why care about that? And whatever. But this was better. This was substantially better. I didn't have to rant and rave about my big booty nunchuck girl. Now, I do believe we probably could use a little bit more nunchuck. All right. We need to bring the nunchucks a little bit more to the forefront. We need to push hippie parents a little bit more to the back. Just push a little bit more to the back about her fighting CD promoters, because it comes across as very 5 Heartbeats. Where there's some big red, big goofy motherfucker with a perm, like, no, come on, I don't need that visual. But okay, this is infinitely better than the first one, so it gets a thumbs up from me. I saw a little bit of the nunchucks. I saw some spin kicks and stuff. I was like, okay, all right, we're going in a different direction. Let's take the microphones and break them, though. Let's lose the microphones. Let's put them under a pillow, chuck them out the window, cut the cords on them, whatever. But I'll watch you do martial arts. All right, cool. Let's do that. Then we got to the low point of the show. Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs. Jesus Christ. Jensen is a mincing, weird young man who wants to ask Kayden Carter out for a date, but doesn't really have the confidence to do so. So he's not really sure what to do. And Briggs is just like, man, you need to just ask her out, you shit kicker. And so Jensen goes over there and pretty much asks for a double date by accident, by saying, we would like to go hang out with you guys for Valentine's Day. And of course, Kayden Carter and Kacy Catanzaro agreed. And they say, oh yeah, text us. And, oh, we'll be there. Whatever. I'm like, oh God, what the fuck? What the fuck? This is awful. So Jensen made the fatal mistake. Briggs was like, what is this? I thought you was going to ask her out. And he's like, oh, I got nervous. My palms got sweaty. The hair on the back of my neck. I don't know. Pretty girls make me nervous. And so then he says, I got a good idea. I got an idea. He goes into his pocket of his very tight jeans and gives Briggs some crumpled up, musty paper that he calls money, and says for him to take Gacy to the movies so that he could be alone with Kayden Carter. And Briggs had to tell him about Biden's inflation and say, look, man, these movies are about $20 a piece. Probably going to be a little bit more than that, once you understand the local economy. All right. This is Florida, buddy. That inflation hitting everybody kind of hard. You have to cough up a little bit more cake than that. So I guess that's the plan, is to try to lose Briggs and Gacy to get Jensen and Kayden by themselves. I don't know, man, but this is like one of the weaker parts of NXT is this guy's. I hate Jensen and Briggs. I hate them so much. Fuck, I remember I thought they were the gay ones. I really thought they were gay. I thought they were, and now I'm like, ugh. They're not gay. That's a dub anyway. But they aren't much better than gay. They're as close as gay as you can get. In any event, this was a really good show. The only thing I didn't like was Brooks Jensen and that whole thing that they're doing, this double date thing. I just think it's a little bit too much of the soap opera. We have so many relationship angles running at the same time. Maybe they're not the best idea to have so many going at the same time. But I think ultimately NXT is a very solid show from top to bottom. And AJ Styles said that it was his idea to go to NXT, even though he didn't pick Grayson Waller. It was his idea to go to NXT because he wanted to teach the kids what they do on the main roster. And to, prevent them from being surprised when they came up and for them to be prepared. And to me, that seemed like that's the perfect reason to bring a Dolph Ziggler or an AJ Styles to NXT. Back when NXT wanted to be its own thing, why would you need to send guys back down there in order to show people how we do things in NXT. Why would they care? And NXT was its own brand. Now we have fully accepted that NXT is not its own brand. Yes, we can send mentors down every once in a while to have trial runs with the kids. And I love it. It was AJ Styles last month, Dolph Ziggler this month. Who in the world could it be next month? Maybe it'd be New Day. Maybe it'd be Xavier Woods. I know he wasn't in NXT very long, if he was in NXT at all. I don't think he was. I think didn't he skip NXT? I think Xavier Woods was on TV before NXT. Whatever. But who knows? They're doing a good job of specifying the guys too, because they're good workers with good personalities and stuff like that. And they're getting into it. They're building this stuff on Twitter. So, it ought to be fun. All right. Let's get into Vengeance Day predictions. Vengeance Day will be Tuesday, February the 15th. I do not like that they're going to put on a show of this magnitude with some of the matches that they have on Sci-Fi. I absolutely hate it because the Sci-Fi numbers are naturally going to be lower than the USA numbers. And yes, I know Sci-Fi and USA are owned by the same company, but you should want more people than usual to watch your show. And to me, if Sci-Fi and the Olympics and everything being on, it takes away from this show. I think you should try to maximize your audience, And the matches that they're putting on here are pretty big. This is not some flimsy nothing show. They really throw in some heavy hitters at this show. As far as some name value and some matches, they're really giving away some shit here. So I'm not a fan of the whole Sci-Fi thing. I don't like it. I think they probably better off waiting. But it wouldn't be Vengeance Day, which is on Valentine's Day, if they waited. They got to do it on Sci-Fi. The timing is just right. But I think that it sucks because people should be able to maximize their audience. All right, so let's get into the predictions. Match 1, Toxic Attraction versus Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. They have been teasing Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta breaking up. I think this is the perfect event to break them up. It's Vengeance Day, the opposite of Valentine's Day. It's perfect. Indy Hartwell probably is the reason they lose. And then Persia Pirotta beats the hell out of Indy Hartwell and breaks up the team. And maybe she runs off with Duke Hudson or something like that, or whatever the case may be. I think that's what we get here. I think definitely Toxic Attraction win the match. But I think Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta break up after this. You heard it here, folks. Creed Brothers versus MSK in the men's Dusty Cup Tag Team Classic final. The Creeds should win this match. They absolutely should win. They need the victory more than MSK. They're better than MSK. They're a little bit plainer than MSK, which is, hard to be. But they are. They're very green. But they have the natural. Both of these teams have fused with Imperium. So that's something. Either way it go, Imperium's story continues. But do they continue fighting Diamond Mine or do they continue fighting MSK? I would pick the Creeds to win. But WWE is more than likely going to pick MSK. I don't know why. I don't know who is a supporter of these bland posers. I just have no idea, man. It just comes across as two rejects from AEW Elevation. I hate them so much. But MSK is probably going to win because that's what WWE would do. Tony D'Angelo versus Pete Dunne in the weaponized cage match. I'm going to go with Tony D'Angelo. I think he needs to win this feud. Where does he go once he wins the feud? No idea. Does he skyrocket to the championship level? I don't know. Do you bring in somebody from Raw or SmackDown to wrestle him? Maybe. That might not be too bad. But I definitely think Tony D'Angelo needs to win this feud. And him losing the feud to Pete Dunne is probably not for the best. But I've enjoyed what these two guys have been doing so far, though. The most intriguing match of the evening. Carmelo Hayes versus Cameron Grimes for the North American Championship. This match can literally go either way. I truly believe I would not be upset if Grimes won. I wouldn't like it because Carmelo Hayes would have, he's on a roll right now. But it could be Cameron Grimes' time. I think if they're smart, they book this match in a way where this feud does not end with this match. I think you book this thing, Carmelo Hayes goes over, but because of Trick Williams interfering, and then you give Carmelo Hayes a match with Trick Williams. If he beats Trick, he gets a rematch. You kind of, extend the feud that way. I don't think this needs to be a one and done. But I definitely think Carmelo Hayes should win and continue to hold the title for a little while longer. But I would not be surprised and I would not be upset if Cameron Grimes won. He has been tremendous. He has been really good. And let's see, what the next match, the final match, Brian Breaker versus Santos Escobar for the NXT Championship. I think they've already set up the Brian Breaker Dolph Ziggler match, and they've already teased the Brian Breaker Tommaso Ciampa match. So I think we're going to end up getting both of those. To be quite honest, we don't need Brian to be the champion to wrestle either one of those guys. But I also don't see Escobar ever winning the title. He seems to be a guy who is a gatekeeper. He's not actually going to become the champion, but he's going to be the guy that helps elevate the champion. And he can do that. And he's very good at it. It would be nice for him to win. I think it would be fun if he won. He would be a classic NXT champion, much like, Andrade or Johnny Gargano or Adam Cole or something like that. But at the same time, it's why have Brian lose in his first real feud? That would suck. That wouldn't, no. And plus, I think we're building to Brian and Gunther. I think we're building to Brian and Gunther, probably around Mania, if I would had to venture a guess. I just wonder if Stand and Deliver are going to be 2 nights again. If WrestleMania is going to be 2 nights, is NXT going to be 2 nights? That would be fun. You have NXT in 2 nights. A Tuesday show and a Wednesday show. That could be fun. But, so that's what I think about NXT Vengeance Day. I think Santos Escobar is going to take the L, even though I really like him. So Brian Breaker, Toxic Attraction, Carmelo Hayes, Tony D'Angelo, and the Creed brothers. But, I'm going to go with the Creed brothers, even though I'm almost sure that MSK is going to win. But I think that Persia, Pirotta, and Indy Hartwell are going to break up. And that's my real prediction for the evening. Is that I'm almost certain Indy Hartwell is finally going to get that beaten Persia Pirotta been teasing for weeks now. It started with Dexter Lumis being distracting her, and now it's going to be Duke Hudson. So let's look forward to that. NXT is going to be a very fun show next week. It was a very fun show this week. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.